Awaken Beauties, finally, it's here. The truth to empower women to true inner beauty through a healthy mind and inner biology. I am your hostess, Cassandra Keogh, a 20-year salon owner, organic beauty product formulator, positive mind management, and clinical hypnotherapist. And I am here to help you stay sane, get sleep, and bring your sexy back. Sponsored by evoquebeauty.com. evoquebeauty.com. Now, let's get to it. Welcome to the Awaken Beauty podcast. I am Cassandra, your organic beauty, positive mind management, and endocannabinoid mentor. And today I'm going to be talking about inertia. Now, this word is a short one, but a powerful one when you feel it energetically in the body. And let me tell you the dictionary meaning of inertia. It is a tendency to do nothing or to remain unchanged. Now, I'm in the midst of creating Life in Bloom, and this program is really the key to unlocking the garden of your mind. And this is exactly what we tap into, the tendency to do nothing or remain unchanged. So do you know that feeling of procrastination that feels like you're absolutely stuck, like you're spinning your wheels, and that stuckness can be a blocker in making small and big changes in your life? And all of us have some place in our life where we know it's time for change. I know I do. And I am a driver, so I'm always looking for that next big thing. But it requires change. And I also refer this to the feeling of putting one foot on the gas and simultaneously having one foot on the brake at the same time. Only you don't know your foot is on the brake. And that is what I call the subconscious mind. Because the subconscious mind, our primitive mind, the reptilian brain wants to keep us stuck, wants to hold us back to keep us safe. It has two things it wants to do for us. It wants to, like I said, keep us safe. And it also wants to preserve energy. So when I frame that up, we can kind of understand, if we understand how the brain works, how we really have to be intentional when we want to change. So let's dive in and look at what is required to overcome inertia and make small and big changes in our life. I like to say change. All right, I don't have much of a vocal right now, but you get the point. So human growth and development comes at the cost of making changes throughout time. Yet somewhere along our journey, we come up with a resolution of that I shouldn't have to change. I am fine just the way I am. And we can hear it in our verbiage. If we just think about how we react when people say, "How are you?" We say, "I'm fine, I'm doing good, I'm just busy." Really what you're saying is, I'm fine, I'm not changing, I'm just fine the way I am, and I'm just going to continue on this perpetual wheel. So in fact, we should change. I'm not going to say you should change. We all should change. And this sentiment is the first step down a slippery path to a bumpy road. Change is growth. Changing ourselves is fundamental to our growth of our spirituality, physically, mentally, and creatively. And rewriting our narrative to name change as growth can be powerful transformation, and it allows us to embrace change as part of our lives. I want to discuss 6 areas 6 areas of change to help you break through this stagnant inertia. If you think about Chinese medicine, that is the whole premise behind what they do. They are constantly working on looking at the body as a whole and then making sure that all elements of the body are working together and staying in flow and chi and no inertia, so that we have the abundance of energy in the body, which heals us, frees us up. So let's dive in to the 6 stages of change. Now, not every aspect of our lives needs to be changed radically at every moment. That would be completely exhausting. Yet, along the way, there are places where our actions cause us and others some grief. So, in the impact to ourselves and others outweighs our desire to keep doing the same thing. So, what did Albert Einstein say? He said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. And I know we've all heard that 1 million times in our life, but it really is as simple as that. So, in an effort to stop the insanity, let's take a look at the typical steps that it takes to change. The first one we're going to discuss is denial. Now, I have lived in a life of being in creation as an entrepreneur and in entrepreneurship. And one of the first principles of being an entrepreneur is the awareness of problems. I'm always looking at problems. And then lately, as an entrepreneur, if you're not one, we love to solve problems. It's how I think every day. That could be better. I could change the marketing on that. That message wasn't quite messaging to me, but this is how you could change it. And if you can see all the problems around you, then you will have the basis for creating solutions. It's a core business concept. And so I discuss this in my course, Life in Bloom, how developing awareness about what isn't working in our life is defeating us. And I fundamentally believe that we need to, if you haven't heard the term, feed the white dog, not the black dog, is that I really strongly suggest that we always focus on what is going good for us. Otherwise, we always feel defeated and we always see life as a problem. Problems are there for us to change them and to bring creation into creating ease into our life and others. So it's all between our ears and in our inner voice. What stories do you tell yourself? And even more important, what stories do you repeat? This is the autopilot, and this is what's lit deep down in our subconscious, going at all times between the ages of 0 and 8, actually, I should say. We don't even have a filter. We call it a critical factor filter coming out of the hypnotherapy world, which is able to allow us to capture something that's coming in, where our spirit mind is then able to identify it right and true for us or bounce it out. So all of these repetitive stories can hurt us. And if you're not aware where they are in your life, then it might be time to explore if you are in denial about changes that need to happen. So confronting our own denial is the most important first step in creating a meaningful change. And as long as you deny the need for change, you will not take action, and thusly, nothing will change. Now, I've been there in my life. I ran my body, my mind, and my soul into the ground and was hospitalized. And this was the pure epitome of denial. Denial that I did not want to step away, denial that I did not need time for myself, denial. And I learned. And I was no different than the day before ending up in the hospital, and I was no different in my bodily state the day after. But everything changed the day after when I made the decision to change. So take a moment and consider a situation in your life where you honestly need change. And I want you to write it down and just create a desire list. Get it out of your head. Put it on a piece of paper, write it on your app on your phone. and look at that desire to change and grow in self-compassion to finding resources on where you can make change on one thing that you're in denial about. So the next is awareness. And once you recognize that there are aspects of your life that need change, you can begin the process of developing the awareness for it. And what stories you believe about what you are capable of. Where do these stories come from? Do the stories work for you, or are these stories limiting you? Where is the gap in the story from where you are now and to where you want to be? Expanding your awareness is about the stories that you may be telling yourself that are not benefiting you. And it's key to changing the story and unlocking the garden of your mind, because it's a beautiful one. And expanding your awareness creates the subtle differences between awareness and acknowledgement, but also acknowledgement is important in recognizing the truth of your awareness, because people can sit in the place of awareness for a really, really long time. That goes back to denial. And when they are ready to move on it, I believe that acknowledging the importance of your awareness begins to shift us into a thoughtful action. So acknowledgement requires that we physically, emotionally, spiritually own our behavior, our thoughts, and accept that they didn't develop in a vacuum, but rather they came to us as a tool and they may no longer serve us for that benefit anymore. And one area I talk about this is in secondary gains, and that's also hypno talk. But for some way, shape, and form, you created a habit to make you feel better about the thing that you are creating the habit for. So we can let those go, and it's possible. But it is impossible to let go of anything that we are in either denial of or still fighting on the insides with ourselves. The next is desire. So you can move from denial to awareness, and you can have a deep understanding and have acknowledged the issues around you. But if you don't actually desire the change, that belly fire in your soul, or want to shift your story and start changing the conversation, nothing will happen. So desire can move mountains, and it can literally carry us along from difficulties that otherwise we would originally avoid. So when the desire to be different overcomes the comfort of staying the same, we start to move from thoughtful action to actual action. And it is the passion. I truly believe we all have passion in our lives to change, to become that thing, that vision, that mission that we have embedded in our soul, because each of us are unique and planted on this earth for a specific reason. And we must honor that reason to develop our gifts. So here's the deal. We often take on changes because we think we are supposed to. Maybe our parents or even our children want us to make a change. Possibly we are in the pre-contemplative stage and are only shopping for the change, but not quite ready to commit. Whatever place you are in, the change process, without a strong desire to see change through, any bump in the road will likely knock you off the wagon. And when I think about changes, especially big changes, I scale my desire. And I usually create a visual or write it down on a paper and write my desire, and I put a fragment of 0 to 10 on a piece of paper in my mind. And if I am not excited or energized or determined enough to at least get it to an 8 or a 9, so in other words, you could say it's a hell yes or it's a hell no. If I'm not excited and energized in the commitment or the desire, I have to wonder if I really want what I say I want, or is this just something that is coming in from an outside source, or somebody wants me to do something, or something I should do, shoulding all over myself. So if you find yourself lacking desire, rethink what you really, really want. And that's okay. Find what you desire to make that change, and look to your life and sit with what is important enough for you to at least meditate what you can frame in a level of 8. Then make it a goal. So blocks, fears, and sticking points. So once we know what we need to do and we desire to do it, often comes a phase where our fears get triggered. Now, this one's a big one for me. I grew up in a swarming body of fears. Now, I feel everything in my body. So my body was triggered all the time by fear and survival. It goes back to Maslow's law. The very essence, especially for women, is to feel safe. So we will often throw up all sorts of blocks and fears that will derail us from our forward trajectory. And the human brain hates change. I've already noted that. And there's some interesting research on the amounts of glucose actually that the brain uses to learn new things. And technically, the brain wants to converse as much energy as possible into staying the same. So it's wanting to preserve the energy. It doesn't want to extend the glucose. So trying to avoid change in our brains is a way of conserving energy. And new habits require more attention than old hardwired habits and a pattern that we've been on up to this point. So then there are the normal things that we use to avoid discomfort, like the discomfort of being outside, or for instance, the stories that we have told ourselves for years about what we can and what we can't do and what we're not good enough and what we're not good enough. And my math teacher told me I can't add 4 plus 4. And then my face got really red. So I'm really bad at math and I should never do anything with numbers. We just go back in the mind, imagination, and memories and amplify them a lot. And I was just having a conversation with a friend today, and they're in the space of not sharing what they're up to with others because of others' limits. They don't want to get dumped on themselves. You know, it's really hard. It's probably a waste of time and all of these limiting perspectives, and her wanting to write a book. As a incredible therapist for many, many, many years, she had all these limiting thoughts around technology and different things. And I love her so much, but she is so capable of so much. And maybe it's not a book. Maybe she becomes an incredible speaker and a leader in her industry. There's so many things that you can do. Maybe it's just not the right avenue, but there's no limit on what we're capable of doing. So the antidote of fear is grace. And giving ourselves permission to have fears and acknowledge them, breathing through them, melting into them, softening into them, forgiving ourselves for being human. And then we move through. Like I said, we move through and we move mountains. So next is creating a new story. To make big changes, you are going to have to create a brand new, brilliant story. So turn the page, grab your pen, and you've got a white, beautiful page. It smells so crisp, so clean. And breaking up the stories in your life doesn't mean that you have to know exactly what the end will look like, because chances are it's going to change. Changes. So yet you do have to design a story that resonates with you, that shows you the horizon and the direction that you want to go. And that is the vision. And I know that the brain does not know the difference between the real thing and the vision that you give it. So you might as well give it something that you desire, that you want, and practice it with all your might. Become obsessive about this new vision that you have for yourself. So questions that might help you think this through might sound like, what is important to you? What am I missing in my life that I regret if it doesn't happen? And what if I put things aside and really honed in on what I'm passionate about? When am I having fun and talking and spending time with friends? And what topics do I get really, really, really energized by? So what do I think I'm good at? What do I want to be when I was a child? Is there a dream I gave up on that? I still think about all those things when I was a kid. And to tell you the truth, I'm doing my dream job. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm doing hair, creating products, hypnotherapy, helping change women's souls from inside out. I love what I do. I'm so thankful, and I want that for you. So I go over this in the be, do, have concept. from beautiful Jim Fortin. He's just a mastermind on the Awaken Beauty podcast in our upcoming Life in Bloom program. And it is so, so powerful. So once you have a vision or a goal of how you want to be and how you want to show up in your life, it's much easier to determine to take those actions because you've captured that frequency. You see the vision. And if it doesn't match that frequency, you can move in it or you can subside, fall off the wagon, and move out. So I ask myself this question for every goal I have. Is it what I'm about to say, think, or do, or going to do to make one step closer to my goal or one step further away? Does it create clarity or does it create confusion? And let me tell you, in the bombarded world that we live in, I don't need any more confusion in my mind. And I don't need to look up one more thing on the Google Master to tell me what I should think. So I become my compass. You become your own compass. And this is the compass towards the destination of the story you want to live. Next is action. And once you have a vision of the new story that aligns with your big changes, could be small changes, then you can actually determine what actions you need to make happen. So habit of action, thinking, reacting, or responding are like big, beautiful, strong superhighways in our brain. To create a new habit, we are going to have to look for tiny little exit ramps and pull over. And a lot of the time we need to get some side resources. Because let me tell you, going down to the subconscious and entering that place of no man's land is not easy by yourself. And quite frankly, I do not believe it's impossible. It is impossible to find all those nooks and crannies and getting off all those tiny little exit ramps by ourselves. Now, meditation, all of these things help. Vision boards, it helps. But really getting help, and I'm not talking psychotherapy. Hypnotherapy is 96% successful in 6 sessions versus 38% successful in, I think, 6 months of psychotherapy. Talking about the black dog is not going to help you get to the white dog. So tiny habits are based in habit links in our mind. So for instance, if I have a hardwired habit of brushing my teeth, linking a new habit to an old habit, this can help me to form new wiring in my brain. And maybe getting up 15 minutes earlier. I go to sleep. I'm going to say I'm going to get up 15 minutes earlier so that I can get 15 minutes ahead so I can get to work on time a little bit earlier. That's creating a tiny habit. Tiny habits are based on habit links. So you might try to gamify your big change or little change. And there are apps out there that you can pay a nonprofit if you don't meet your goal. Now, nothing gets my ampy up if I got to pay somebody because I don't like losing money and I don't take bets on myself that I can't win. So this is just a way to tap into our natural competitiveness. Ah, my goodness, so many things to do. But let me tell you, I'm going to close it up right here. And I just wanted to get your brain thinking about the changes that you want to make, the desires that you have, to really go down in your soul and change that denial into desire. Because if you have big dreams, what you got where you are may need adjustments or flat out changes to get you further down the road towards your goal, your passion, your desire. And I always say moving from success to significance. So use these 6 stages to ponder, to think about, to support yourself, and plugging away towards you, your soul, what you want, and what is important to you. Draw on your courage, your fortitude, your perseverance, because I know you have it, and maybe your competitiveness. And craft a story on that new page that you turned just now, crisp and white, ready for you to just start dreaming, to start writing things down that you want to change and to create passion around. Commit to yourself 110%. Say, I can do it. I've done it before and I'll do it again. And open and craft that story that creates a path to your dreams. So thanks for listening. You know I love you. You know I always say, love and light, but I want you to dream big and I want you to work smart. So we got to put a little bit of head and heart, align them together. And let me know if you need anything. I'm always here for you. I would love to dig into a hypnotherapy session if you'd be interested. It is my passion to help people go down into their own subconscious and help them do their own problem solving so they can have lasting, forever change. All right. Until next time, stay sane, get sleep, and bring your sexy back. Thanks for listening to the Awaken Beauty podcast. Well, hello, Awaken Beauty. Thank you so much for joining the show today. Were you inspired? Please leave a comment or your own personal aha moment so others can capture exactly what you did. Also, please like and subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you're interested in high quality natural products for your hair, skin, and wellness, including organic CBD, please visit evoquebeauty.com. Again, that is evoquebeauty.com, evoquebeauty.com. And until next time, darling, stay sane, get sleep, and bring your sexy back.